Hey everyone, welcome back to another practice. So in this one, we're going to do a quick one and something very simple to put the range function into use. So what we're going to do in this one is to add all numbers from 1 to 100 and find the total number. All right. As always, the file is in the resource section. You can access the starter file for this. And again, it's going to just take you through this where you have a comment, and that's pretty much it. Now, keep in mind that you're going to be using the range function. So think about what I just talked about in the previous lesson. So you use a range function, and what you need to do is you need to use the parentheses, and the way it starts is that it starts from the minimum, but then when you want to go to the maximum, in this case we got 100, so we got to go to 101, right? So that's how we actually define the range. That's very important, and I want you to remember what we talked about in the previous video. It's a really simple practice, but I want you to think about how you would do this, how you would actually come up with the numbers in the 1 to 100 and how you can add them to each other. And for the addition, for the adding part, we have talked about this in the previous sections where we talked about logical operators. So that's something that you should know, and you should be able to solve this. So let me know if you have any questions and try to solve this by yourself. And I'm just going to give you a second, pause the video, and see what you can do with this. All right, so hopefully you were able to solve it. If not, that's completely fine. You can just watch me do it and you can see where you got it wrong. Also, as I said, the complete file is also going to be in the resources section, so you can access that as well to take a look at it. So the way we're going to start, as I said, is we're going to start with a range. But what we need to do is we actually need to keep score. If you remember, like the previous practice that we did, where we were receiving numbers from an input and finding the highest possible number, we need to keep a score. Now, one of the things I want to mention before we continue is that I will talk about a few useful methods in the next videos where you can actually just do these a lot simpler, a lot easier, such as total method, the sum method, like all that stuff, max minimum method and all that. We'll talk about that stuff. But for now, since we're using the for loop, this is how you do it. So we're going to start with a total variable. I'm going to set it to 0. And then we're going to go for the for loop, right? So I'm going to say for, and we're going to find number. So that would be the number we want to work with. And what we need to do is we're going to say for number in range, and we're going to start with 1. And we're going to go to 100 and 0, 101, right? That's very important. If you remember, I mentioned this about ranges, is that it starts from the first number, but it doesn't end on the second number. It actually ends a number before the second number. So since we want to get 100, we need to actually put 101 here, all right? So we're going to close it with a colon, and then we're going to go to next line, make sure it's indented, and we're going to say total equals number plus total. So what we did here was that we said, look at this range, loop through this range from 1 to 100 essentially, and take this total, change it to the numbers that you find plus the previous number that you already had stored. So when it starts, we're going to get 1, and we're going to say 0 equals number 1 plus 0, that would be 1, and then we change the value of total to 1, and then we go through it every time until we add every number to each other. And keep in mind, you can actually do that this way as well. You can actually say total, and you can say number, you can say total, plus equals number. And this is pretty much the same thing as I just did. I'm just going to leave that right there as well for you. So total equals number plus total. So it's pretty much the same thing. And again, if you remember, this plus equal is an operator. So what we're saying is that add this to whatever you get here. So it just makes this shorter essentially, right? So that's basically what we're doing. It's pretty much this exact identical thing. And again, there's no right or wrong with this. You can do it however you want. And if I actually print this total, and let's see what number we get at the end. So if I save this and actually do it, here we go. So we get 5050 is the total number. So that is pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Again, it's a very simple problem. I just want you to actually use the range function to process some information and understand that when we use the range function in a loop, we're essentially going through every single number from the beginning to the end. So just something to remember. Let me know if you have any questions, guys. As always, the files are in the resource section for you, and I'll see you in the next video.